Dead Battery here. Thank you for joining me on my channel. Today's video is going to be about an Atari Lynx I found. The description said that it didn't work, and from the photos, which you will see shortly, it didn't look like it was in good condition. The interesting thing about this console was it was the first one to have the color liquid crystal screen. Just 2 months prior, the Game Boy was released, but it had a monochrome screen. The system I found looked like this. This is the listing that I found. It was marked as junk. From the close-up, you can see the screen looks like it is completely destroyed. It's not only scratched, but it looks like it's warped underneath. The only reason that I bid on this was because I knew you could change out the screen. So I was hoping that was the only thing wrong with it, and I would be able to switch the screen on it. Once I finally received the system in the mail, it actually didn't look as bad as the photos had led me to believe. I couldn't see that weird warp that you could see from the photos. So now my hopes are high that either it doesn't have as much damage as I think it does, or the screen does work. The screen actually turned on. I am highly surprised about this. It does have a line going through it, but as you can see, it works. And there is Elvira in all her glory. It did not come with a battery back cover, so I do need to find one of those. And it also runs off 6AA, so it does go through a lot of batteries. I haven't looked up yet to see if there's a battery modification for this, but if there is, please let me know in the comments and maybe I'll give it a try. Now that I know the screen works and it has a line through it, it could just be the capacitors. So I am going to take this apart and replace all of the capacitors. I know this isn't always needed, but since the system is older, it probably needs to happen sooner than later, so there's less damage to the board if a capacitor does go bad. I decided I'm going to go through and use my desoldering gun. I bought it a while ago because the solder sucker I had was fine, but I felt like for larger projects it was really hard or it took longer. So I thought might as well get a soldering gun, and let me tell you, it was an awesome choice. If you do a lot of this, I would suggest just having one. I know there's a lot of companies online that you can buy the capacitor kits from. One of the companies is Console 5. I've bought a couple sets of capacitor kits from them, including one for an upcoming video, so stay tuned. Their capacitor kits are fairly cheap. I think the one for the Atari Lynx was roughly around $5. This time I didn't go with them for the capacitors for the Atari Lynx. I did find a local computer store and they just had stockpile of resistors, capacitors, switches, soldering equipment, computer equipment, anything that you could use to fix or repair things. So I thought I would go see if I could find the capacitors myself and just kind of compare prices. Once I got all the capacitors into place, I thought it would be a smart idea to put it on my board holder. So now I'm just going through and soldering them all into place. I did have to look up and make sure that I put the battery wires in the correct spot. I was remembering it in my head, which wire went where, but obviously when I looked at it again, I got a little confused, so I did stop and look over my video again. So after getting everything cleaned up, I put it back together, but I did run into a problem. Now I'm going to show you. So if you attempt to do this, you know. In the Atari Lynx, it has these areas that are going to hold the battery in place. And on this board, there's a very fine area where there's a whole bunch of capacitors that go together. Now in the original one, two of these capacitors were much smaller, not like this one. But because we couldn't find the voltage or the correct voltage from the original one, we went up, which means the capacitors were going to be slightly larger. And the problem I run into is that it will not close properly because the capacitors are touching where that area is. So pretty much my next step, I guess, is to remove these capacitors and give them longer legs. I don't know what they're called. If you know what they're called, let me know. Give them longer legs. But then I also run into the risk of, if they're touching, will they short out? So now I need to look at, do I lay down Kapton tape or solder mask? Will that affect it? I'm not too sure. If you guys have any suggestions for this, please let me know in the comments. I'm kind of holding off and waiting to see what I want to do with this right now. I was able to get the system turned back on, so all the capacitors went back into place properly, but the screen still had that line on it in the middle, so I'm assuming that there's something else wrong with it. Let me know in the comments if you think I should do an original one and keep it as original as I can, or if I should upgrade it and put the new screen in. If I do decide to do the new screen, I know that I have to go on some kind of wait list for it. I think he makes small batches of the screen and it's a laminated screen. I'm not too sure. I'll put down in the description which one I'm talking about, and then you can help me decide which one I should go with. So thank you for watching my channel. Sorry this one didn't go as fabulous as the last one, but I'm still excited that I now own a working Atari Lynx. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and share, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye!